Name's Todd Butler. I'm from Front Royal, Virginia, and built the Smithsonian Castle here. It's actually 4 years old at this point. Back in 2012 here at BrickFair, I had my own creation at the time, and one of the ladies from the Smithsonian was actually here, and at the time they were looking for somebody to build a replica of the castle. So it all worked out to where I gave her my email. At the time, wasn't sure if I was going to hear back from them, but I did. And then come September, they gave me the go-ahead, and they needed it actually by the end of November. So I only had like a 3-month window to build it in. By the time I got the pieces together, 100% from BrickLink, it took me about 2 months to get it together. Now, basically, I used photographs as reference. I actually used Google Earth, top-down views, and then went down the street view and looked around most of what I could with it using that. And yeah, it just came together as I went along with it, you know?
That's awesome, that's awesome. Now, no matter the size of the build, there was always one area where you actually started. So where did this build begin? What was your first thing to do?
First thing I built was actually the back. I mean,
okay.
If you want to, you can go around back with the camera and check it out, but I built the back turret first, because that's its own section. Basically, this part here will come off on its own. You can see where it would just release. Everything's just kind of sitting here. Nothing's really snapped in section-wise. This is a separate section here. But yeah, I started back there. That kind of set the overall scale for the whole thing. Also, one of the defining characteristics for the scale of it was these windows. The size of this window pretty much determined how big the thing was going to be, because based on photography, once I knew, you know, say a 4-stud width window was going to be that, the majority of the building is those windows, so that basically defined the scale at that point.
Now, describe sources of inspiration. Were you able to look at other builds of similar design or similar architectural style to maybe glean different things from them?
Yeah, definitely. A lot of photography of the real building, but as far as, you know, interpreting that into Lego, that's where the creativity comes into mind. You know, you got to try to think, what can I use to try to achieve that look? I mean, you can't get everything perfect, but you got to pick out what's most important, try to get the best details in, you know, and make the best of what pieces you got available to you, because not everything comes exactly the way it needs to be. So sometimes, like for these turrets, for example, at the time they didn't make the corner piece for this angle right here, so I had to kind of do a makeshift and make up that part, and then I just kept that.
That's a recent element, yeah.
And then now I think they actually have them available in the color, but at the time, like I said, this is 4 years ago, at the time they didn't have them. So, yep.
That's awesome.
The actual roof line is a 45, but the real roof is probably more about like a 30, but they didn't have the 30 degrees in that color at the time, so I had to go with the 45, you know. So certain things, while overall it's to scale and it looks pretty much identical, it's a very good replica, I'm proud of it. There's certain parts of it that are a little bit, I guess you'd say, made up in sense, you know.
It's all good. Well, the building of this size, it's like you sort of have to kind of just use creativity to fill in certain gaps, right?
True, and it's hard to find photography of every nook and cranny to try to figure out exactly what is there for real, other than to go there. Now, I did have my brother go, and he took some photographs.
Super suspicious photographs walking around the...
He walked around the outside and the grounds and went behind the bushes and trees and everything to try to get up close shot. No, but no, he helped me out and get some around the corners and stuff, because, you know, all the Google Earth Street View is literally this whole front here, but you can't get around back and see what's back there. There's a lot of sections where I really wasn't sure what was going on, but I basically used what I knew from the opposite section what worked, and more or less made it symmetrical.
Very nice.
Some ways. So.
Now, Todd, to kind of close this out here, could you point out a few of your favorite details on the building?
Definitely. Probably the most important and most significant one is this right here, the turret. Getting this 45-degree angles to work out and make this octagon shape, and where it fits in seamlessly with the natural square shape at the bottom, that was pretty tricky. I mean, it's very difficult to work with angles. I mean, anybody that builds
hinge bricks? Did you use hinge bricks?
Hinge bricks here. It's a lot of hinge bricks. These for the whatever the molding, that's all hinges too.
Oh, wow.
I mean, that literally would move on its own, you know. So,
that's so cool.
They'll stay in place, but they do tend to, as you move it around, they tend to shift. But definitely like that, like this. This is kind of cool. That's supposed to be like I forget the name of it, but it's something like a star or sundial type of looking window, and that's the best I could come up with to try to replicate it.
That's very cool. Todd, wonderful build. Thank you so much for sharing with us.
All right, thank you.